Morning, everybody. Okay, today it's kind of almost misty back here in the woods. Raining, gray, and very hot. But I'm gonna wear this to keep the bugs off me, so I'm sure in no time here we'll be wringing out the sweatshirt and my t-shirt underneath, but we're gonna go for a walk today. Because like you guys, I suspect that somebody messes with me back here. I'm not so sure about the rock clacking that we heard yesterday, and I have to say, that's the conclusion I've come to. That's exactly what it sounds like. The parabolic dish, I could hear it not very well while I was sitting back there, but the parabolic dish recordings I could hear quite well. And to me, it sounded just like two rocks being banged together. And we've heard and recorded that before. Now, why would a person do that? Okay, even if they were messing with me, and when I say messing with me, I mean, you know, possibly stealing my trail cameras, even just trespassing back there. The chair in the tree, okay? To me, that screams somebody goofing around, a joke. But none of my neighbors would do that. And I still can't piece it together. It doesn't make sense. But nothing else makes sense either, right? Like, somebody put it there. Nobody ever knows when I go back here. Right now, I'm at home alone, and I just decided, it stopped raining, let's go for a walk. I don't announce to the world that I'm going back here for a walk. So nobody knows I'm going back here. Gage didn't even know I was going. He didn't tell anybody. He didn't know until 2 minutes ago when I opened the door and he jumped up all excited like, hey, we're going somewhere. So nobody knows I'm going back here. This camera, I was fine with everything once I edited the video yesterday, guys. The stabilization was good enough. The zoom is probably the best part. You guys seemed fine with it. There was one thing that annoyed me, that surprised me, was that the entire video has a whine in the background from the stabilization system in this camera. The onboard microphone picks up that whine. It's not the zoom whine. It's the stabilization. And when I've got my earphones on and I'm editing this, listening to it for 2 hours, oh my God, it was driving me nuts. I'm gonna switch to the phone and I'll show you guys. This is the same setup that I used to do with the AX53, because when you're behind the camcorder, the microphone doesn't pick up when I'm talking to you guys. So I have an external mic attached, and then every time I go behind the camera, I turn it around. I ordered the Deity Duo 4 microphone, which records front and back at the same time. This is the setup that I'm using, and we're going to put the Deity mic on there and it'll record front and back. So I've lost all portability. Like this will add to the stability, right? I can use the handle to make the camera even more stable. It just becomes bulky and heavy and whatever. I did this for a couple years before with the AX53. But I could not stand that whine from this camera. So, yeah, I could send this back. But again, guys, there are no new products to replace it with. So I think you guys seemed fine with the picture and the stabilization. And that's the most important thing, is can we capture Bigfoot on here? As Ryan says, Bigfoot can only be captured with a potato. And he's right. So we're probably never going to be able to do it, because this is a pretty good piece of equipment. And I've made it bulky here to try to be perfect with the sound and everything for you guys. But sometimes we'll just run and gun without all this setup, and you'll just have to put up with the whine. There's no footprints in here except mine. That's one of mine from yesterday. There's one of mine going back out the trail from yesterday. It rained pretty hard last night, so fresh gauge tracks. I did notice something up here in the clearing where Tom used to keep his hot tent. Okay, we filmed a session here on the way to the hunting blind, and I noticed two flat rocks lying there that looked out of place, and I actually filmed it with my phone. And during the editing of that video, I forgot about it. It didn't mean a whole lot to me at the time, and I didn't put it in the video. And then yesterday, we heard rock clacking. Now that's a completely different area. Okay, so where we're going up here now, 600 meters from my house is where Tom used to have his hot tent. Way over there in the opposite direction, 600 meters from my house, in that direction is where we heard the rock clacking yesterday. So, but I'm gonna show you guys if they're still there, and they should still be there, these two rocks that I just saw lying there. And I actually, you know, I looked at that and I thought, geez, they look out of place. Right here, guys, is where we heard the rock clacking before. It was coming from in there. Right there, you can see the rock that I'm talking about. It starts there. We can go in there and take a look. I'll show you guys in a second. But right here, we're at the clearing where Tom used to keep his hot tent. It was right over there by where Gage is. And there's some chairs and stuff, a hunting stand. There's also a wooden hunting stand right here. So Tom used to hunt here, and then he would keep the blind here the last few years when he stopped hunting. But I wanted to show you guys, there's a stump right here. And here's the two rocks that I was looking at. They just seem out of place. There's no other rocks anywhere around here. And these two are just lying out here. Alright, in fact, let's try something here. If I pick these up, I'm telling you guys, that's what we heard. Like, this rock seems, I don't know, I don't even know where that would have come from. It's different. That looks like sedimentary rock. Yes, guys, I do have a third of my degree was in geology, so I mean, this looks, just looks different than these. But I mean, I wonder if me doing that. Ooh, just broke a big chunk. Just broke a big chunk off of that. Feels light. It's not granite, it's not bedrock. What I was going to say is I wonder if we make a few of these loud clacking noises, if we'll get any kind of response. Oops. We're just smashing that into little pieces. Oh yeah. Totally sedimentary rocks. Smashed. Let's go in here and I'll show you guys the bedrock before where we heard this clacking from. So we're using the Rode microphone today. You guys let me know in a comment, how is the audio? All of this moss in front of us right here, you can see the bedrock sticking up right there. This is all bedrock in here. So this area here, this hasn't been used in years, but again, there's another hunting blind up here. And these are my neighbor Dave's, his boys hunting here. But we're always in communication with each other during hunting season. I hunt as well. And I don't come in here with Gage when deer season bow is on because I don't want to interfere with any of these guys' hunts. And they always let me know when and where they're going, and I don't go to the places where they are, and they don't cross my property. The same thing, because we try not to interfere with each other's hunts. Bow hunting is hard enough, you know, and you have other guys coming in there and pushing the deer out, and you've been sitting there all day. That sucks. So to be clear, these guys are pretty serious guys. You know, they wouldn't think a UFO existed or a Sasquatch existed. None of them watch my channel, and Dave doesn't even know where my blind is. There's a raven. So let's be prepared for strangeness. Dave doesn't even know where my blind is. The kids don't even know where my blind is, and they really aren't the kind of guys who would mess with me. Even if they knew what I was out here doing, they definitely wouldn't mess with another guy's hunting blind, that's for sure, because we do have rules, and you don't break those rules. It's like when you find a vehicle, you know, 25 miles back in the bush, you don't mess with the guy's four-wheeler. We often leave our keys right in there so that we, you know, helmet sitting on the seat, keys in the bike. You don't mess with another guy's stuff, because it could be life or death to try to get out of here, you know, 25, 30 miles back in the bush, or whatever the case may be. Big storm comes up. You just don't do it. There are rules, and these guys are not the kind of guys to do that. They just wouldn't. So it's not them. So if there is humans in here messing with my hunting blind or clacking rocks, which is that one I find even more implausible, it's not them. Quite a good breeze here today, actually, and I'm not even sweating yet wearing this hoodie. The bugs are terrible, but only my hands are getting chewed up. So the sun is trying to come through the clouds up there. Gage must have saw a rabbit or something, because he just took off in there. We are almost at the creepy corner here now. What are you chasing? Guys, I don't know what to say about this. Literally 40 years walking in the bush, I have never found as many feathers as I'm finding on our main trail here. In the last 6 months, this has got to be like the 6th feather, another blue jay feather. I'm gonna save that one, and we'll add it to the stone box. I don't know, I find it weird. Do you guys find a lot of feathers when you're walking around in the woods? I usually don't. We got 3 breaks right here, one low to the ground, one up there 9 feet, and then one over here 4 feet. So yeah, it's pretty annoying to have to keep flipping this microphone around when I'm in front and in back. So hopefully the Duo 4 will resolve that issue. It's going to record front and back, but in mono. So I guess during the editing process, I'll have some extra work to do. I'll have to blend all those channels back into a stereo channel, but it's a small price to pay. Like, I've literally flipped this microphone more than a dozen times already today. And if you see something and I need to turn the camera around, I don't have time to flip that around if I want to capture sound of something running by or whatever. So it's working, but it's just not ideal. I swear I heard a coyote and then I heard a raven. Okay, Dogman. Speaking of, one of the commenters, and not the first person ever to mention it, said, "You don't have a Bigfoot, you have a Dogman." Now this person was from Australia, I can't remember their name, but it's something I've never looked into, is the legend and lore of the Dogman. I don't know, we never heard anything like, you know, when we were kids, werewolves and things like that were, I don't know, just weren't associated with the northern Ontario woods. Bigfoot and Sasquatch, not until years later. Like, when I was a kid, nobody who was a hunter or trapping guy or anybody out here deep in the woods talked about strange things like that. People did talk about, you know, almost like paranormal stuff, sounds in the woods, knocks and bangs and things like that. I remember my uncle, great uncle, talking about stuff like that, but I don't ever remember him talking about Bigfoot or Sasquatch. And for the very few people that did mention anything about that, even years later on, there were even fewer people talking about Dogmen. Now they do have something here. Again, it's a local thing, the Side Hill Gouger. We've talked about this, and I thought it was just something that Uncle Harv made up because he always talked about the Side Hill Gouger. And apparently it's a real cryptid thing. Apparently it is an animal that has one leg shorter than the other because it circles the mountain and leaves strange tracks. And Harv always talked about when he was alive, the strange howling that they had one night, and they were at camp, they were moose hunting, and he always said, oh, it was the Side Hill Gouger, and I thought it was just something he had made up. And I came to find out years later, no, it's an actual true cryptid. So that's a strange one that I've heard of. Even more so than Dogmen. But maybe I need to enlighten myself and learn a little bit about Dogmen. I mean, you guys know I'm on the fence with all this paranormal stuff and UFOs and Bigfoot, but I'm open-minded, and I mean, the things that we capture, I can't explain. I don't know what to categorize it as. Some of you guys love that quality in me that I just, you know, not everything in the woods is Bigfoot. And other guys hate it because I refuse to admit, you know, I can't rightly tell you how that chair ended up in the tree. And we got more dislikes on that video than any other. So it's like, do people think I put my own damn chair up in a tree? No, I did not. Do I think it was Bigfoot or paranormal? No, I really don't. I think this is like a human thing, but I have zero proof that humans were at my hunting blind. No tracks. You know, nobody's come forward and said, hey, you know, we were screwing with you. Not that I, as I've said earlier, think that any of these guys would. Nobody to my knowledge knows where, not even Tom. Tom doesn't even know where my blind is. So, I mean, I don't know, guys. Hate it or love it, I have to try to, as I always say, keep it real. And keeping it real to me is seeing something. And I'm not opposed to seeing something move on its own. Or, you know, we've captured stuff, I mean, that I can't explain. Okay, that to me, all I can say is it happened. It's real. We have proof. We have audio. We have video. I don't know what it is, but it happened. So don't mistake me pointing out everything I see here, or every time I hear something turning the camera towards it. I'm trying to capture evidence. That's the whole point of being out here. Maybe it's a dog woman. Gage is an attractive dog. Maybe that's why she's hanging around. I don't know. See, microphone is now facing me. I just turned and then I heard something. My apologies, guys. I forgot we can do picture-in-picture. I forgot about the little lens on the side of the camera here. I would have had that out here yesterday for you guys. Would have had that out here on this video. Damn! We got to keep this Panasonic. I mean, it does have some cool features. I mean, you know, I'm just being picky, and I really liked my Sony. It is what it is, guys. They don't make a new model. If they made a new model, you know what, we would just buy a new model, but they don't, and we've already spent the money. We're gonna keep this. I wish this side camera was a little more wide though, because I've got to hold it out. Can I make it face forward? Oh, we can make it face forward. Wait, how's this gonna work? Well, I guess when I'm then turn the microphone around. See what I mean? Just heard a knock. I was screwing around with the camera. I shut it off to turn the microphone around. Just heard a loud knock right there. Just hanging out here for 5 minutes to see if we hear another knock. Right there. Right there. Not as loud as the first one, but I just heard a second knock. Alright guys, well, thanks for joining me on this adventure. We're almost home. We got one knock, but not a whole lot else. But you gotta get out, you gotta get off the couch, you gotta go record. You never know what you're gonna get. I guess we got a blue jay feather out of it as well. I'll catch you guys in the next adventure.